this is the research area of the need of the time now. Yeah, now,
Yes.
otherwise, Siddha is now saving the country now, you all know that. And yeah, right topic of the right time that Guru Nanak Center for Research has arranged. I'm very happy in being a part with this program. With these few words, I invite or welcome Dr. Gayatri Gunalan, resource person of the day, and all my colleagues, organizers, Dr. Kalanidhi ma'am, Dr. Jayanti madam, Dr. Mahendra Kumar, and other colleagues of my zoology department, other departments, and my own students. See, for a wonderful topic now, usually we can see the classes have started, and then we are at the fag end of lockdown, but you can see 176 students, 176 participants have participated. It all because of the topic, because of the resource person, and because of the resource person who is arranging the program. All these three really counts, and so I am very happy once again welcoming you, madam. We are proud of you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for those supporting words. Before Dr. Gayatri starts out with the session, let me introduce.
Dr. Jayanti, please unmute yourself.
Sorry, ma'am.
No, that's okay.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, Jayanti.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Sorry about it. Dr. Gayatri Gunanan, who is the resource person of today, is a very growth-oriented person, and she has oriented an entire area into research skill to develop organizational inputs. And she has done her BSc, MSc, and MPhil for from the Bharati Women's College, Chennai, and she has also done a PG diploma in bioinformatics, and she has completed a degree from the University of Madras, and she has done all of this in the discipline of biochemistry. And currently, beginning of her career after she finished a PhD, she was a faculty member in the Department of Biotechnology, SRM Arts and Science College, Katangulathur, and then presently she is a research officer in the Siddha Regional Research Institute under Central Council for Research in Siddha, the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, Puducherry. She has, for her PhD, she has worked on anti-cancer effects using a COLO320 cell line, and she has received various awards. She has received Best Paper Award wherever she has presented in the National Conference of PNAU, in the National Conference at SRM, and she has got major proficiency prizes in both during her UG and her PG. She has qualified for certifying to so many courses such as public health and clinical laboratory practices and medical ethics. She's a certified professional for patent law for scientists and engineers. She has a patent professional for cell culture technologies. She has done advanced certificate program in scientific writing. She's a certified professional on biomedical nanotechnology, and she is a certified professional in the diploma in clinical research PDCR, and she has done also health research fundamentals and genome analysis. These are the few areas where she is certified to deliver talks. And apart from this, she has conducted many trainings to name a few. IAQMS, that is internal audit and quality management training she has rendered, and she has also rendered a program on e-procurement and e-publishing and GM for Ayush officials alone. And she's also talked on public procurement in a financial management at Faridabad. And she has also trained on basic courses in biostatistics and data analysis using SPSS. And she has attended a lot of papers she has presented across the globe and across the country also. And she has also organized various conferences and workshops. She has published around 23 international papers and 5 national papers. And I can just keep talking about her. And she has also submitted a nucleotide sequence in the gene bank on EBV voucher PARC in the gene bank. And also she is a reviewer in the peer-reviewed journals like Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine, European Journal of Medicinal Plants, and European Journal of Nutrition and Food Safety, and Journal of Research in Siddha. She is having 2 ongoing research projects right now, funded one by the extramural research scheme by Ministry of Ayush New Delhi and intramural research scheme by CCRS Chennai. Apart from this, she's also a life member in various associations like Association of Clinical Biochemists of India, Society of Biological Chemists, and Indian Association of Biomedical Scientists. Her major skills lies in computer and internet related areas, especially she can handle bioinformatic tools to analyze proteins and nucleic acids. Thank you so much, Dr. Gayatri, for being here with us. Such a resourceful person who has joined us from Puducherry to be here to teach our students and research scholars on the potential avenues which is available for research. Thank you so much, ma'am. Over to the speaker.
Thank you, Jayanti ma'am, for the nice words about myself. And it's my privilege to be a resource person in this webinar, which is organized by Guru Nanak Center for Research. And I'm so happy to be with you now. And I thank the technology. Having sitting in my office in my lab, I could meet you all through the small window. So first, I would like to thank the technology. And as mentioned in the introduction, I was an academician working in SRM Arts and Science College in Department of Biochemistry for nearly 10 years. And by 2016, I joined here. So having come into a new discipline as Siddha, so I was exploring, I was venturing into what is Siddha and so much of questions and everything. Besides my participation in clinical trials, biochemical investigations and clinical laboratory supervising everything, I'm just thinking about what a life science person can contribute for a Siddha research. So I keep on talking with my colleagues here, the various Siddha research officials, the head of the institute. And as a result of that, I have acquired, I should say it as acquired only, I have acquired some knowledge regarding Siddha, and I have identified what are the various avenues of a life science person to do research in the Siddha discipline. So this webinar will be just a sharing of my thoughts, whatever I have come across and whatever I have acquired during these 4.5 years. That is the webinar today. And I am so happy to talk with you. Let me present. Today's topic, potential avenues of research in Siddha system of medicine for life science scholars. So before going into what are the potential avenues, I'd like to say some few words about Siddha system of medicine, whatever I have learned from this place. Siddha, it is the traditional Tamil system of medicine. It is one among the indigenous traditional medical systems of the world, and its origin goes back to BC 5000 to 2000. This ancient traditional system was developed by a line of 18 Siddhas from the land of Tamil, like Agathir, Tirumular, etc. They are the saints, and they have developed this Siddha system just to attain the eternal bliss. So this Siddha medical system, the Siddha system of medicine is just a part of the Siddha's way. It is an art of healthy living. It does not treat any disease. It is an art of healthy living. It teaches us how to lead a healthy life. It helps us to maintain physical, mental, and also the social well-being of an individual. So about the basic concepts of Siddha, its principle is prevention is better than cure. So rather than treating the disease after its onset, it is better to prevent. So that is the basic principle of Siddha. And for this, the Siddha works on 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These 5 elements develop 6 tastes. Arusuvai, they will call it as Arusuvai, and these 5 elements were called as Panchabhudam. The tastes are sweet, sour, pungent, salt, spice, and astringent. For each and every taste, they have specific properties. These 6 tastes conjugate to one another and build 3 humus. That is Vali, Aral, Ayam. It is called as Vadam, Pittam, and Kabam. So according to Siddha, any dearrangements of these 3 humus lead to diseases or disorders. There is an equilibrium exists between these 3 components, the Vada, Pitta, and Kapha. So if any other equilibrium disturbs, then that will be the cause of any disease. So according to Siddha, the diseases and disorders, they are of 4,448 types. I'm so amazed to look into this number when I joined here. So 4,448. For all these types of diseases and disorders, they have just 64 types of medicines. These 64 types of medicines were divided into 2 types, internal and external medicine. There are 32 types of internal medicines and 32 types of external medicine. To name a few among this 32, in internal medicine, I hope you have heard all these terms: Kudinir, Karkam, Churanam, Vadagam, Vennai, Manapagu, Rasayanam, Legium, Ennai, Mathirai, Teenir, Melugu, Kulambu, Padangam, Chenduram, Parpam, Chunnam. These are the internal medicines which were used to treat many diseases. And the external medicines like Otranam, Puchu, Vedu, Pottanam, Tokkanam, Pugai, Nasiyam, Kalimbu, Seelai, Suttigai, Pasai, Murichal, Keeral, Attaividal, Aruvai, Kurudivangal. These are some among the 32 types of external medicines. So to treat all these types of diseases and for the preparation of all these 64 types of medicines, what is the raw material from where these medicines were prepared? It is called as the Materia Medica of Siddha, the raw materials of Siddha formulation. It includes 5 types: the medicinal plants, metals and heavy metals, minerals, marine products, and animal products. When we look into the medicinal plants, more than 1,000 medicinal plants were used in the Siddha system of medicine. You can see some in this collage, and hope everybody knows many things about the medicinal plants. And to say the significant medicinal plants in Siddha, they have the Tiridoda Sama Porutkal, right? These Tiridoda Sama Porutkal, they will maintain the equilibrium between these 3 humus, what I have previously mentioned. And they also have Kaya Karpa drugs. These Kaya Karpa drugs, medicinal plants, they will promote or they will help us to, for longevity of life, for rejuvenation, it will help for that. And coming to metals and heavy metals like gold, copper, silver, mercury, these are used in the preparation of various Siddha formulations. Minerals like calcium, potassium, sodium, borax, all these things were used for the preparation of Siddha formulations. And marine products, oyster shells, and then pearls, fossils, they are used for coral, they are used for drug preparation. And animal products like honey, milk, and horns of various animals like ghee, they will be used for the preparation of Siddha formulation. So totally, metals, heavy metals, minerals, marine products, these 3 categories, they are of 220. They are called as some Jivatadu, I guess. And all these together in Siddha term, they will be calling it as Gunapada. Coming to strength and challenges of Siddha. The strength of Siddha, it has strong fundamentals. It is our traditional wisdom, and it is more combined with our Tamil culture, and it has standard principles. And as I previously mentioned, it has vast repository of formulations and practices. So these formulations and practices, they are mostly unexplored. Then it is cost effective and mostly it is easily available. Then coming to challenges, it has lack of documentation. So these Siddha, it is some 2000, more than 2000 to 5000 years old, right? So they have all the knowledge has been passed from generations together in the form of some palm scripts, and eminent people, they have collected the palm scripts and they have consolidated in the form of books, all those things, and it much have been left unexplored, and that those things has to be documented properly. And challenges in scientific validation, this is our traditional wisdom, traditional medicine. So that has to be the efficacy of these drugs has to be validated, has to be scientifically proved before this modern world for global acceptance.
Hello, Gayatri ma'am. Gayatri ma'am. Gayatri ma'am. Sharma, are you able to hear me?
மேம் அவங்க ஏரியாவில் கரெக்ட் பவர் கட் நினைக்கிறேன் மேம். நான் சிவகுமார் மேம்.
இல்ல இல்ல அவங்க 3 சிஸ்டம் பேக்கப்ல வச்சிருக்காங்க சிவா.
ஓகே மேம். இல்ல மேம் அவங்க பின்னாடி ரொம்ப டார்க்கா இருக்கு, கரண்ட் போன இருக்கு.
I am just exiting for some time. Let me call and let me check.
Okay, sure.
If it comes up, you people handle it. I'll just.
Okay ma'am. Okay.
Dear participants, sorry for the technical error. There has been a power cut in the speaker's end. She'll be joining in few seconds.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
People are telling that they are not able to get in, ma'am. Any of our class?
Yes. I'm receiving lot of messages, ma. I'm looking into that also.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Prakriti.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sharmila, can you just look into this, because I'm getting a lot of messages saying they're not able to get in. There are a lot of people just messaging me. Can you just ask, check what the issue is? Now, Sharmila?
Yes, ma'am, I will check.
Please, participants, I'm really sorry about the technical issues from the speaker's side. Anyway, she's ready with the 3 different devices where she can log in. So we'll definitely have the program. There is no issue on that. We are all ready for it, but there is a power cut at her end. She will join shortly.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
There is a power issue here, so the network has lost in another device.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'll just share my PPT.
Yes, ma'am.
என்னது? Okay, no problem. இல்ல வேண்டாம், thank you. Can you all see my slide now?
No, ma'am. Not as yet.
Can you see my slide now?
Ma'am, yeah, it's presenting. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Can you see?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. You're audible, ma'am. Please go ahead, ma'am.
May I know where I left?
Yeah, you were just talking on this.
Have I finished these, friends?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, coming to the challenges. The challenges of Siddha, it is the lack of documentation. Having this is the ancient system of medicine, and the wisdom has been transferred from generations together in the form of palm scripts. So eminent people, they have collected the palm scripts and they have made into some books, and many things have left without documentation that has to be documented. And challenges in scientific validation, again, being as ancient wisdom, being a traditional one, it has to be spoken in the languages of modern science. It has to be proven with experimental evidences, though the siddhas have wrote many verses and regarding the preparation and how to treat, and the successful one, the things only were shown in the palm script, but those things has to be spoken in the languages of modern science. So the here comes the scientific validation, and that is the unexplored area. Most of the medicines are yet to be scientifically validated. And the standardization, having the polyherbal formulations, metals and minerals formulations, so these has to be, their preparations has to be standardized, because metals and minerals, when they involve, without a proper purification or proper preparation, they will never become a good medicine, proper medicine. So there comes the standardization part. And coming to quality control, so quality control, it is the quality of Siddha medicine. For this, we require a proper raw material supply. So raw materials are the medicinal plants, metals and minerals, all those things. So when we come to medicinal plant, whatever we collect from one place may not be the same which is collected at some other place. So there comes the geographical variations. So those geographical variations has to be overcome, and insufficient raw material supply. So the raw materials, many raw materials, they were in endangered species and they were about to extinct, and it has to come all over from India. So the supply has to be provided, and surplusly to prepare the medicines. So that raw material supply is insufficient, and that is a great challenge here. And finally, the management of biodiversity issues. When we take much of natural things like medicines, metals and minerals, everything, they are the natural products. So when we take everything, the biodiversity may get disturbed. So we need to look into that concept also. So these are the challenges of Siddha system. And these challenges, we always say, right, when we see challenges as an opportunity, that will be the key of success. Like that, these challenges becomes the opportunity for us for the research. See, what is the need of the research? Is to rectify the inadequate documentation of literature, the evidence for scientific and efficacy profile, reproducibility of all the findings, what we have, the traditional claim, large-scale industrial production, and finally the global acceptance. This traditional system of Tamil Nadu has to be accepted globally. So that has to be done by various scientific approaches. So now coming into the actual part of our webinar, the potential avenues in Siddha research. So who can contribute for this? The life science people. So life science people like biochemistry, biotechnology, molecular biology, immunology, bioinformatics, pharmacology, pharmacognosy, and biomedical nanotechnology. And I have just named a few. I might have missed some other life sciences also. So all the life sciences can contribute for the in this discipline. So coming to the first avenue, it is the raw drug or species identification and authentication. As we seen earlier, the Siddha drugs, they are of purely polyherbal, the plant-based, or it may be a herbo-mineral, plant and mineral based, and it may be a metallic preparation.
Participants, I think we have lost the speaker again. I think she's having a lot of issues pertaining to. Just give me a few minutes. We'll join you. Dr. Sharmila. Dr. Sharmila, I'm really sorry,
Yes, ma'am.
participant, I'm sorry for the inconvenience caused because there's a technical issue from the speaker's end, which we cannot actually do anything about. Sharmila, Dr. Sharmila, I think you start presenting so that she can take it up through her mobile. Because I don't
Yes,
think 3 of the devices she's having and the power cut is very bad over there.
Okay, ma'am. I will
Yeah,
present.
just start presenting, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, am I audible now?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am, you are audible and you're very much
I'm
there.
sorry, there are so much of technical issues here. The power cut is happening now and then, and I'm losing my contact.
I informed the participants, ma'am, and I think better if we start presenting from this side. So
Yeah,
that you can,
yeah,
right?
you start presenting from that need of research slide.
Yes, ma'am. We have started now.
Yeah.
Sharla, go to full screen and start from need from research. Go to the slide need for research. Yeah. Yeah. Next slide also you can. Next slide, Sharmi. Yeah, next slide. Now this is where you stop, ma'am.
Yeah.
Now you have to start with this slide now. No, Sharmi, you have to go to the previous slide.
The previous one.
Previous slide, ma'am. Now next slide. No, there is one more slide in. Right, this one only, ma'am.
Yeah, participants, I'm sorry, because of some technical issues, I have lost the contact. Yeah, I'm just continuing now. And as we have seen so much, lots of life science people can contribute for the Siddha system of medicine in its research. So the potential avenues, the one among the potential avenue, the very first one will be the raw drug, species identification and authentication. So we have seen Siddha formulations may be herb. I think it should be the previous slide, the herb slide.
Shamila, you have to go to the previous slide, ma'am.
The previous slide.
Previous slide, pharmacognosy. Yeah.
So the Siddha formulations may be of purely herbal based. So it is polyherbal formulation. It can be a polyherbal formulation or it can be a herbomineral formulation, which is a combination of plants and minerals, or sometimes it will be a combination of metal, mineral and plant, and sometimes it will be purely a metal formulation. So for all these things, the raw materials, whatever we are collecting from the market or from the natural place, that has to be identified and authenticated. Yeah, next slide, please. Next slide. So it has to be authenticated. Coming to the polyherbal formulations, we have some pharmacognostical studies. like macroscopic studies and microscopic studies, then HPTLC fingerprinting, they will identify the chemical markers for each and every medicinal plants. And there is a RAPD fingerprinting. This RAPD fingerprinting helps us to identify the geographical variations. So here there is a DNA marker for each and every plant. We have a marker, DNA marker. So based on that, we can identify whether it is a variant or not. So that kind of analysis is possible here. And pesticide and aflatoxin analysis, whatever we collect from natural source, it should not have any pesticide or aflatoxin, because we are going to give this as a medicine for the treatment of diseases. So all these things has to be done for identification and also for the authentication. Coming to minerals, mineral drugs, herbomineral or mineral drugs, they should be subjected to physical analysis, chemical analysis like chemical analysis, and optical analysis like optical crystallography. So these three will tell us about what is the kind of mineral we have taken, how pure it is, and is there any contamination or adulteration present in that, etc. can be evaluated. Then coming to the metal preparations. The metal preparations can be identified, can be authenticated by various techniques, analytical tools like X-ray diffraction analysis, X-ray spectrofluorescence analysis, spectroscopic methods like infrared spectroscopy, atomic absorption spectroscopy. Like that, we have so much of spectroscopic methods to identify the metals and the minerals. So all these identification and authentication tools, they are used to identify the purity of the drug and also to determine the adulteration or contamination in the raw drugs or the species. Next slide. So now coming to drug purification. So whatever we have collected, that should be in the purified form before making into the formulation. So drug purification, it plays a major role in the preparation of any Siddha drug. So this can be adapted for any type of raw material like herbal, mineral, metal, marine, or of animal origin. So whatever may be the raw material, everything has to be purified before doing the formulations. So what this purification does? This purification will remove the physical and chemical impurities and also to make the material free or less from toxicity. This purification process will increase the therapeutic potency, and the metals and minerals, when we are using in an inorganic form as such, whatever we have collected, that will be in inorganic form. If we are using as such, it may be heterogeneous to the body tissues, and it will not be possible for them to get assimilated in the cellular level to execute the desired therapeutic effects. So these inorganic form has to be converted into the absorbable form inside the body. So this will be done by the purification process. The purification process converts the drug into a fine state which may be homologous with the composition of the cell. So here we can say it is simply as conversion of inorganic to the organic form. So all these things, purification, if we are taking a raw drug, means it will undergo various stages of purification. In each purification, we can identify, we can find what kind of changes has been taking place during this purification. So this has to be validated. Scientific validation of this drug purification is one among the avenues. So this validation is remain unexplored for many drugs. Only few drugs has the drug purification steps, the various chemical and physical changes have been documented, and many were left unexplored. That will be one of our avenue. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Next slide.
Sharmila. I think Sharmila, Dr. Sharmila. Dr. Sharmila.
A lot of technical lacks here.
Ma'am, it happens, ma'am, because we all of us are really lack in this area. Hello, Dr. Sharmila. I think now she has logged out.
Ma'am?
Please, ma'am, you present the slide.
Yes, ma'am. Wait,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, it's visible?
Go to previous one.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
This
Yeah, this one.
Yeah,
Only this
yeah,
one.
yeah. Yeah.
So coming to after purification comes here the drug standardization. After purification, the drug standardization. So we have the herbal drugs and the metal, herbomineral and metal drugs. So for herbal drugs, under standardization, we need to do the phytochemical studies, the pesticide residues, the total microbial load or count, and the chromatographic techniques like HPLC, GCMS, like that, and these various spectroscopic techniques. For metals and mineral drugs, we have various physicochemical fingerprints by analytical techniques like XRD, SEM, EDAX, IR, TGA, ICP, OES, TEM. Like that, there are so much of analytical techniques for the metal and mineral drugs. For all this, we have a protocol which has been developed by PLIM. This is the book, outer cover of that book, Protocol for Testing for Ayurveda, Unani, and Siddha medicines. So this book will tell us what are the various standardization techniques or analytical specifications for any kind of drug. For Churanam, what we have to do, for Parpam we have to do, for each and every type of drug, the list of analytical techniques which has to be done for standardization has been given in this book. This is just for your reference. Then next slide. Coming to phytochemical studies, and here, as we all know, many people have done so much of work in the medicinal plants, and I hope you all know about this. So it has both qualitative and quantitative analysis, the total phenol, flavonoids, all those assays, estimations we will be doing here, and the marker identification using HPLC for various medicinal plants. Then here LCMS and GCMS. LCMS will give us an idea about the non-volatile compounds which are present in the plants, and GCMS will give us idea about the volatile compounds. So if we are interested in identifying what are the phytochemicals present in a particular Siddha drug, and if we are about to prove the scientific efficacy based on these phytochemicals, we need to do these kinds of studies. Next slide. Then coming to efficacy studies, to prove the efficacy or the biological activity of the drug, there are three ways we can do: in vitro studies, cell line studies, and the in vivo studies. In vitro studies, we can call it as the simple laboratory techniques, simple biochemical investigations or microbiological investigations. So any biological activity can be assayed here, like say for example anti-diabetic, immunomodulatory, all those things can be assayed, and they are mostly spectrophotometric assays, and sometimes we may be using spectrofluorimetric assays also, and for antimicrobial assays also we can prove here. And coming to cell line studies, any specific clinical condition can be studied using these, and under this any biological activity like anti-diabetic, anti-cancer, anti-Parkinson, Alzheimer, whatever we need, that can be elucidated, that can be studied here. And one advantage here in cell lines is it mimics the human cells. If we are using the animal models, it is a rat or mice, and that may be similar to the human cells. But in case of cell line studies, we can get the human cell lines, human adenocarcinoma, human normal cells, human hepatic cells, human lung cells, like that. We can collect the exact human cell, and we can do what kind of we can do the efficacy studies, mechanism of action, all those things can be studied here. Then in vivo studies, here again the same, any specific clinical condition or disease, the activity, and after this in vivo animal studies, the results can be extrapolated to the human models. Next slide. It is nothing but the clinical trial. So in vitro assays, as I mentioned earlier, these are the few examples. We can do antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, anti-diabetic, because most of the drugs, most of the diseases in their pathogenesis, if we see, they are initiated by a simple free radical reaction. So free radical reaction, oxidative stress will be created, then inflammation will be coming, and finally the disease will be developed. So any drug, whatever may be the drug, it will be, for sure, it will be an antioxidant. So we can study the antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, all these assays can be done. Next. Next slide. Next slide, ma.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Saline, previous, yeah. Coming to saline studies. So these saline studies are used to determine the efficacy of any drug or formulations for any selected clinical conditions. So using these salines, we can identify the mechanism of action of drug. We can do metabolic pathway studies, and we can do epigenetic studies. I hope you have heard about this epigenetics. This is the upcoming science. So being the traditional science, and this Siddha system is a way of healthy living. So these epigenetics, what is epigenetics? It is the modifiable change in our gene, in our genome. So whatever the cancer, mutation, all those things are not modifiable, whereas the epigenetic changes, whatever is happening, it is just like a pencil writing. We can change it by way of, by modifying the healthy, by changing into healthy lifestyle, by eating a nutritious food, by following the healthy practices, we can make the changes. So those kind of epigenetic studies using many markers like DNA, methylase, HDAC, and then acetone transfer, acetyl transferase, all those things, we have much of markers available. So using that also, that study can also be done using the cell lines. Then coming to NCE, or the drug discovery. NCE is new chemical entity. In Siddha, we can see a single drug, when it was given with so many adjuvants, they are calling it as anubanam. So when a drug was, for example, if I take a Tirupala Churnam, when it is given along with water, it will have one effect. When it is given along with milk, it will be giving another effect. When it is given along with honey, it will give another effect. So based on the adjuvant, the efficacy will also vary. If you are identifying a new activity for a drug, then that is called as the new chemical entity. You are claiming the formulation or the drug for a new biological activity. There, the drug will become the new chemical entity. So that is also possible here. Then coming to synergism studies. Synergism, whatever we are taking here in our drug, it is a combination of molecules. We are not isolating any pure molecule, and we are not giving here. Siddha, it is based on polyherbal, and it is a mixture of compounds. So what is the reaction between the molecules present in a single drug? How far they are interacting, their presence increasing their potency or not? And for example, we have talked about the adjuvants also, how the milk is changing the potency of Tirupala Churnam for some other activity, how honey is changing. So all these kinds, where we will be calling it as the synergism studies. So these synergism studies are also possible using the cell line studies. So I have just listed a few more remain unexplored here. So while doing these cell line studies, the one and only challenge what we undergo here is the solubility. Few drugs, they are insoluble, so we need to overcome the solubility challenge. If we overcome, we will be able to do in this cell line study. That is the one and only challenge here. Then next one. Next slide. In vivo studies, you all know it is with the animals like mice, rat, guinea pigs, etc. can be used to study the efficacy of the drug. And also, before coming into efficacy, a drug should be safe. So for that, the toxicity studies has to be done. So there is no toxicity, that thing has to be reported for any drug which is going for any kind of treatment. So toxicity studies like acute toxicity, subacute, and chronic toxicity can be done using various standard guidelines. Then coming to the efficacy, any biological activity, any pharmacological activity can be determined by inducing that particular disease in the animal. Here again, using animals, we can elucidate the mechanism of action, and epigenetic studies are also possible. Then after this in vivo studies, the results can be extrapolated to clinical trials, human clinical trials, which is of 4 phases. So this way, till this animal studies, we call it as the preclinical studies. And after that, the using, when we are giving the medicine to human, they are called as the human clinical trials like RCT. All those things were done. And in my institute, we are doing so much of clinical trial. And initially, I found the scope in that, being a biochemistry person and being the section in charge of clinical biochemistry laboratory. And this human clinical trial only initially we had, and then only I started exploring all these avenues, and now I am talking with you. Next slide. Next slide. Previous one. Sorry, next one. Bioinformatics. Bioinformatics slide. Next slide. Yeah, coming to bioinformatics, what a bioinformatician can do. Not only the bioinformatician, whoever knows the computational biology, the people can do the molecular docking studies, then big data analysis, and the ADME predictions, absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion predictions can also be done. This molecular docking studies, what is the advantage of this is it will reduce the wet lab time. And here we can identify, we can predict the synergism between the molecules. And we can do the preliminary screening here. So if we have a lot of big data, that huge pharmaceutical database or huge drug database, huge phytochemical database, that kind of huge databases can be analyzed using these many bioinformatic tools. And as a result of that, we can create some database also, like Dr. Duke's pharmaceutical database, like that. So much of databases are available. So those kind of database are also possible here. Then ADME predictions. The drug likeliness property of any formulation is possible using the bioinformatics tool. Next slide. Next slide. Coming to the role of biomedical nanotechnology. We have already seen that various metals and minerals, they are used in the Siddha formulation. These metals and minerals, what they will be doing is they will be grinding those metals and minerals along with some herbal juices. And that grinding process will reduce its size. So that size of the final finished product will be in the nano size. So drugs like Parpam, Chenduram, Kattu, Urukku, Kalangu, Chunnam, these are some of the higher order medicinal forms. We call the metal involved drugs as the higher order medicinal forms. So they are life saving. They will be administered for chronic diseases like even cancer. They are administrating these drugs. Upon grinding with herbal juices, they will be reduced into nano sizes, and hence even less than up to 20 nanometers. It's also possible. Lots of paper has been published. So most of the drugs will be less than 100 nanometer. So these Siddha drugs can also be called as the nano medicines. So since their size is of nano, they will also possess the properties of nanoparticles. So the properties of nano properties of all these Siddha formulations, that will be of great interest, and that is the upcoming, and recently so much of papers is getting published, and we can find a good scope here. And these drugs can be standardized, can be characterized by using various techniques like SEM, TEM, scanning electron microscopy, transmission, and then AFM, atomic force microscopy, all those things. These are used for the characterization of nanoparticle or a nano drug. The similar things can be followed by for a Siddha formulation for its elucidation as a nano medicine. Next. Next slide. Next slide.
Ma'am, just wait.
And meanwhile, you can look into this figure. I have given some 6 Petri plates there, and you can see some solid, that is the Kattu or Kalanga, I guess. And various colors, white will be Parpam, and red color will be the Chenduram, and the dark one is the Padangam. So all these are the nano drugs of Siddha medicine, Siddha system. Next. No. Next. It's plant tissue culture. Yeah, plant tissue culture. Next slide. So previously what we have seen in cell line, it is the animal cell culture, animal cell line or animal cell culture. Here comes the plant tissue culture. So whatever medicinal plants we are getting, in case it is a leaf, we can go and collect the leaf alone. But in case if we need a root, we need to destroy that entire plant. So in that case, the biodiversity comes, the deforestation comes. So I hope we can overcome this by using the plant tissue culture. So whatever may be the biomaterial we need, that can be artificially synthesized in the laboratory. Any root or leaf or any other part of a plant can be synthesized, can be cultured by using this plant biotechnology technique to avoid the deforestation, and thereby we can conserve the biodiversity. So here again there is one challenge. So whatever we cultured here, that is an artificially synthesized one. So this artificially synthesized one should exhibit our original efficacy. That is the only challenge here. If we prove near normal, it is of very great value. Next. Coming to the next one, reverse pharmacology. I hope you would have heard this term now in this pandemic situation. Many people are preparing the vaccine for COVID, and that is through this reverse pharmacology. Most of the things were using reverse pharmacology. So this is just the ulta of normal pharmacology procedure. So usually what we will be doing, we will be identifying a molecule, and that will be taken to the clinic. From laboratory, it will go to clinic. But here from clinic, it will be come to laboratory, just the reverse of original drug discovery process. So here the starting stage will be the man. So from man, it will go to animal and then the molecule. That means what we will be doing, a molecule will be identified, preclinical studies will be done using in vitro and in vivo animals, and then only we will be subjecting it to clinical trials. But here we will be starting the experiment, we will be starting the research from the bedside. From man, it will go to the scientific validation. You can look into the slide here, the clinical trials, phase 1 and phase 2, and then it comes to mechanistic preclinical trial, and then the safety studies, and then the molecular pharmacological studies, and then the final large scale clinical trial. This is the path of the reverse pharmacology. But when you see the classical pharmacology step, it is the target selection, lead compound identification, molecular target identification, lead compound optimization, preclinical trial, and finally the clinical trial. This complete process, it is a time sparing process, it is time consuming, and it will take nearly some 8 to 15 years to complete this process. But when we come to reverse pharmacology, it will reduce the time nearly 3 times. So the drug is possible within 4 to 5 years. And this reverse pharmacology, it is cost effective and it is time sparing also. It will reduce the time to create a new drug. So this reverse pharmacology, how it is possible in this traditional knowledge, the vast knowledge, what we already have in our hand, which is already proved by various siddhas. So all those clinically evidenced drugs will facilitate their database, will facilitate us for the drug discovery in this reverse pharmacology path. And in this process, the safety will be the first one. The efficacy will be the second objective. Here the safety remains first and the efficacy becomes a matter of validation, because already it has been proved. There is nothing to prove again. So the safety should be proved and then the efficacy will be the second objective. Then coming to next one, next slide. Yeah, Siddha Genomics. So initially, while introduction, I have told you about the basic concepts of Siddha, the Vari, Aral, and IM, the Vada, Pitta, and Kaba. So based on this only, the Siddha system is treating any diseases. So this we call it as the Deganilai. In Siddha, the individual body constitution, it is called as Deganilai. That only describes the predisposition to any disease. Whether any disease will come or not, or whether we are predisposed, whether we are in the risk of getting any disease, all these things can be identified by identifying this Deganilai. The treatment of disease and the lifestyle regime are also based on this three constituents, three humor, Vari, Aral, and IM. They are calling these three components as Thirithodam. So based on this Thirithodam only, the disease predisposition and the prognosis of the disease and the lifestyle modifications, everything is possible. So it can be correlated with the genotype of an individual. These three, if we take a person is Vada dominant, then his genotype will be different. A Pitta dominant person, he will be having a different genotype. Kaba dominant person, is genotype will be of different type. And I have seen some literatures where they have given the characteristics of these personalities, how the Vada person will be, what will be the color, what will be the hair, how they sleep, what kind of dreams they will be getting, and what kind of diseases they are prone to. So all these kinds of things has been already elucidated in this Siddha system. So using that we can correlate that to the genotype of an individual, which indirectly reflects the level of various biochemical parameters. So we can expect some biochemical variation in these three persons also, three Vada, Pitta, and Kaba dominant persons. A different person will be having different biochemical parameters. So that can be indirectly reflected, and this will ascertain the health status of an individual. So this is the current technology now, current science which is upcoming, the personalized medicines. We call it as the P4 medicines. P4 stands for the participatory, preventive, and predictive, and the personalized. I repeat, it is predictive, preventive, personalized, and participatory. So these 4 P's altogether, it is called as the P4 medicine. And these P4 medicines, they are used to quantify the wellness and predicts and also prevents the diseases. So these P4 medicine, they aim to detect very long before the disease symptoms appear, and thus diseases can be avoided by treating these perturbations. So these currently some weight loss programs and some obesity treatments, all those things were based on the personalized medicine. So when we can do to treat obesity, the same can be done for the treatment of any kind of clinical conditions. So that thing is that large genomics study is required based on the Siddha concept. So that we call it as the Siddha genomics. Already some works has been done and for Ayurveda, I guess. So that is the Ayur genomics. So like that, based on their concepts they were doing, and based on the Siddha concept also, the Siddha genomics can be elucidated, can be developed. So based on the Siddha genomics, the cost-effective screening of predisposed individuals in the human population is possible. So with these avenues, having shared so much of ideas, so now what is the need of the hour? Next slide, please. Next slide. So the need of the hour. So we have seen what is the identification, authentication. We have seen what is the scope and standardization, and the nanotechnology, bioinformatics, cell lines, and in vivo, various techniques and various scopes we have identified in Siddha research. So the need of the hour is the interdisciplinary research and the integrative approach. So we all, each and every person, I hope whoever the participants, they know what kind of input they can give and in what way they can contribute to the research. So each and every discipline person, when we join together, we can do so much of research in the Siddha system of medicine using various formulations, using their medicinal plants. And as a result of these kind of researches, we can develop some Siddha pharmacopoeias, and then monograph of the drugs, monograph of the medicinal plants, they are possible. So what is the ultimate aim of a research? It will be the service to the mankind, service to the society. So if we able to contribute on our path through whether it is a small contribution or a big contribution, a contribution is always a contribution. So whatever we can do in our discipline, if we club that with if we do that in Siddha, both the Siddha and develop, and we will be developing. So in case that will be call it as the interdisciplinary and also the integrative approach. Next slide. Next slide. And in this pandemic situation, everywhere you would have heard Siddha, 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 and Siddha is treating so much, Siddha is doing so much, and so much of attention and interest has been put towards Siddha. And I hope you all know that Siddha system is contributing so much to the healthcare. So to elucidate, to speak the Siddha wisdom, to share the Siddha wisdom globally, we need to do all these kinds of scientific validations and scientific experiments. We need to talk in terms of modern science. So together, if we all work, everybody will achieve. So together, everyone achieves more, and I am a strong believer of this theme. Thank you so much. And at this juncture, next slide, I would like to acknowledge the Siddha Research Institute, Regional Research Institute, where I'm working now, for so much of constant encouragement, support, inspiration, and every day they will inspire me in one way, and that will increase my working spirit here. So being a life science person, I could identify so much of avenues in Siddha for research. And Central Council for Research in Siddha, it is our the parent institution. It locates in Chennai. Under that only we are coming as the peripheral institute. For their constant support and encouragement, I thank Central Council for Research in Siddha also. And finally, Guru Nanak Center for Research, the Guru Nanak College, for having given this opportunity to share my views in potential avenues of research in Siddha through this small window. And though we have some technical issues, I hope I have thrown some ideas. I have shared some ideas to all of you. So thank you so much.
And thank you, Gayatri, for that wonderful talk that you have given. You
can reach me by in this mail ID. And the session is open. If you have any questions, I can answer.
There are a few questions, Gayatri ma'am. Can I read them out for you, ma'am?
Yes, kindly.
I'll just go from the beginning. One Dr. Shivakumar has asked why the Siddha medicine is not giving the quick recovery from disease.
Quick recovery from disease. I don't think I am the right person, but whatever I know, I can give. These whatever medicine we are taking, I think that has to be taken in the appropriate course. The exact course and exact dose, everything matters. So when that appropriate dose and in appropriate way it enters the body, for sure I think it will be giving the efficacy. It will be used for the treatment of diseases.
Yeah. One Mr. Laila Banu, she has asked, is drinking Triphala powder with hot water boost the immunity? What are the uses of Triphala Churnam?
Triphala Churnam, it is having, I think, almost all property. It has anti-inflammatory, and then it is a good antioxidant. And the Triphala Churnam, even for washing the wounds also, external treatment also they are using. So it is having so much of it. Is having anti-diabetic. So whatever activity you study, it will be exhibiting all those things, because that comes under all the ingredients, the Tripalas which are present there. they are coming under Kayakarpam. So they will be helping for us to improve the quality of life, for rejuvenation and to extend the longevity of the life, everything.
Next question is, why some medical powders are recommended to take along with honey in Siddha?
Maybe that honey is the correct exact adjuvant for that, because I'm not a Siddha person, I'm a life science. So this any medicine, I have learned that a particular Siddha medicine with the correct adjuvant only will give the correct response. So some honey, when that drug, when it is given with honey, it may show the better efficacy. That's how the physician has been advised.
Yeah.
And you need to get, if you need to get some extra information, then you need to speak with the Siddha physician for this.
Yeah. Dr. Dendra Hepsiba ma'am, she has asked, even though our traditional system of medicine is highly efficient in preventing diseases, why not our government is not interested in taking up research results by Siddha practitioners? Very controversial question, but if you choose to answer, you can.
You have asked for government, and the government should answer. So I think some researches is going on, and the results are yet to come. So it is also, government is also doing its own way, and it is also encouraging, I guess, because we are doing lots of research, and I cannot say it, right? Okay, it is some controversial question.
Okay, ma'am. Then one more, Maggie Khanna, she has put in a few questions. Nowadays, Siddha Institute and hospitals number have increased, but the backbone of Siddha is the natural resources that decrease. So how do you get all those medicinal plants, whether it's now in future?
Yeah, that is one of the challenges here. That's how we have spoken, how to overcome. We have spoken about the plant tissue cultures and how to take the raw drugs, whatever drugs, even from a country drug shop, the Natu Marundu Kadai also you can get some raw drugs, but you cannot rely on that. So we have some collection places, and from there they are getting, although they are getting the raw materials, there is always a demand between the production and the supply. That has to be overcome. Yeah. And here only we all should join our hands to overcome this challenge.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Dr. Mahendra Kumar has put a question. Ma'am, in spite of government's initiatives and activities through the Department of Ayush IMCOPS, why people only prefer allopathy for all the medicines, for all the diseases?
Sir, this allopathy, I think that has been followed only in recent centuries. Maybe our forefathers, even my grandparents, they have not taken any allopathy medicine. So whatever they want, they will be, if they get a cold, if they get a fever, they will prepare a kashayam at home and they will have. Only I think in the 19th century and in 20th century, we people are going behind the allopathy. I think the scenario will change. And in this pandemic situation, everybody, we are managing, right? We are avoiding to going to clinics, and for a simple cold, if we are getting a simple cold, we are doing something home remedy, and we are getting into our traditional lines. So hope the scenario will change and people will follow the traditional system in future.
Yeah. Dr. Karthikeni, who's Associate Professor from the Department of Chemistry, Guru Nanak College, has just shared a view that she would like to talk to you. With your permission, I think we'll be sharing your mail at your number.
No, now I want.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
You
want to talk?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Please.
Chemistry department. What about phytochemical studies? Can we do in your Siddha Institute, ma'am?
In our Siddha Institute, ma'am. Ma'am, that we can talk personally, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Actually, what I'm asking is, suppose in the traditionally we are using betel nut and other things, and then so many medicines what we use in every day we are using.
Yeah.
What are the chemicals that is present, and then what we have to actually, the allopathy doctors are insisting that everywhere we have to prove what is the ingredient. That is the problem we are having.
Sure.
So, why not we do it, and then if suppose we are interested, why not we do it collectively? That is together.
Sure, ma'am. It is always the CCRS the Central Council for Research in Siddha, and we have in various places we have many institutes. So you can contact any research institutes.
Using all those things, we want to know the ingredients, and
Please, ma'am, come again, ma'am. I couldn't get you. What?
Phytochemical studies is part of our research in most of the places. So we want to be with people who are really in using all those things. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, it is possible only, ma'am. You can find many research institutes and you can find many enthusiastic Siddha physician to get some information regarding whatever you are interested. And it is highly possible to do any kind of chemical analysis, and that will come under the standardization of drugs even.
Yes, that is what we are not proving. They expect everything to be proved, but actually it is proved centuries back. But they want in hand papers only.
They have not proved previously, like in turmeric we have curcumin, in this we have this. They have not proved in terms of the modern science. They have proved in terms of the clinical evidence.
So if you do it, will be coming up in like anything. That's what I see.
Yeah, that will be a great bloom for this Siddha. That is the major research scope in Siddha. The drug standardization and identification of all those active principles and everything. So once if that was proved right, then the globe will, the people will come behind Siddha. Already, most of the people
it is actually
are following.
I could say that certain mafias are ruling the pharmaceutical industry as far as we know, because
no comments regarding that, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
an
you,
open forum, no comments regarding that.
Thank you, Dr. Karthikeyani, ma'am. Dr. Shamila, if you could just highlight the slide where Dr. Gayatri ma'am's mail ID is there, so that a few participants have asked for Dr. Gayatri ma'am's mail ID.
Okay,
can you just put it on the slide? Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Right, ma'am. Can I, while she's putting up the slide, can I ask you one more question, ma'am?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's from Bhageshri Shivakumar. She has asked, ma'am, what is Tridosha? With the help of Tridosha, can a person's attribute and character be judged? What does Siddha medicine convey about Tridosha? Can you share, ma'am?
Tridoshas, it is the Vadiya, Aral and Ayam. It is the Vada, Pitta and Kaba. So these are called as the Todam. Dosha, it is a Sanskrit word, right? The Tamil original word is the Todam, Todam, 3 doshas. So these three doshas, they will be always in the equilibrium. I guess the first one, the Vada will be 1, and second Pitta will be half, and the Kaba will be quarter, 1/4. So this is the ratio of these 3. So when the ratio between these 3 disturbs, when the equilibrium between these 3 disturbs, then that will lead to diseases.
Yes,
so that is and you determine by analyzing that they are giving the medicines, and Siddha medicines not only based on the 3 doshas, and they are giving based on the environment, based on the season, based on the age. So there are so much of factors involved to identify the right medicine for the right person. So that is the job of a Siddha physician, and they will doing that by, I guess, Nadi analysis. They are checking the pulse, right? So in their terms, it is called as the Nadi. So after checking the Nadi only, they could identify all those things, and so using some examinations also, they are able to prescribe things.
One Mr. Karthik, as he has asked something on government, I would certainly request the participants. This is a common platform, and she's a central government employee. Please refrain from discussions on government policy and other matters. I don't think it is possible for her
kindly.
to answer.
Thank you.
So, Karthik, that question definitely pose it into my next class. I will answer the question that question for you on Gayatri ma'am's behalf.
Yeah, sure.
The question I'll tell you, you may not take up that question.
Yeah, okay.
Does government allow all the Siddha medicines for the welfare of people? I'll take it up in my class now.
Yeah, absolutely. I can say it is absolutely. We are practicing, and we are giving medicine to the people. So government is allowing only, right?
Right. Thank you, ma'am. Are there, Dr. Pramila Devi has asked, are there any operations performed in Siddha?
Operations, they have Aruvai. They have Aruvai and they have bone setting. Aruvai is some kind of surgery. We cannot compare that with the modern science surgery, and there is some kind of invasive procedures available there. Chuttigai, Aruvai,
Thank you,
all
ma'am.
those things are there. I think
Ma'am,
they are
yes. Yeah. Ma'am, the hello. Heavy metals are used to prepare the churnam. Will it affect the kidney?
Yeah,
Will it affect
will it
the
affect
kidney?
the kidney? When it is in the purified form and when it is in the correct form, it will not affect the kidney. So that there the purification and standardization part plays a great role. So when anything was not properly purified, when anything was not properly prepared, that only will create toxicity. So the properly prepared and proper good medicine will exhibit only the expected efficacy.
Ma'am, it's up to you whether you want to take up this question. One is Reshma has asked, ma'am, whether Kabasura is curable for corona, ma'am.
Kabasura is curable for corona. I'm sorry. I'm not the Siddha physician, right? We are giving it as a preventive care.
Yes. Yeah. Please, participants, I love the way you are asking question. It's an interdisciplinary field. At the same time, you have to understand that the speaker, the resource person of today is basically a biochemistry person who's talking on interdisciplinary research in various areas. We will post.
Ma'am, you have been muted, ma'am. Jayanti, ma'am, you have been muted. Kindly unmute yourself.
I didn't. Somebody else has muted me, ma'am. I request the participants please post questions that's relatively on biochemistry and interdisciplinary research because it's more easier for the resource person to take it up. I think, ma'am, I almost have asked you on this one. Mr. Ashutosh Kushwaha, he has asked the genomic pattern is keeping on changing in the virus. So the complete treatment is a bit of a challenge. Is that correct?
Yeah. The genomic pattern is changing means the pattern should not, the variation should not be a major one. If it is a minor one, then that will not create a great problem. This is my personal opinion. So that thing, the vaccine production, all those virologists, microbiologists, and they will think over that. They will look into that.
Dr. Sharmila, could you put up the slide where Gayatri ma'am's email is there, because I still have a lot of participants asking for a mail ID, and Dr. Karthikeni has asked for madam's number. With her permission, later on I will share it, madam.
Yeah, you can share personally, ma'am, not in the open forum.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Mail ID can be shared here.
No. Yeah. Mail ID, please put in. Now, ma'am, there is one Maggie Khanna, she's asked few more questions. Is alchemy, that is deriving gold from plants, possible with the present knowledge of Siddha?
Come again, please, ma'am. Please, come again, ma'am. Alchemy,
that is deriving
alchemy.
The gold flower, which is deriving gold from plants, possible with the present knowledge of Siddha.
There are many plants which is rich in copper, which is rich in gold. So one of the plant, it's Ponnagani, it is rich in gold. So there are plants which are rich in metals. So gold is also possible to get from plants.
Okay, she's asked one more question. Palani Murugan idol. They say it is the higher order of medicine in Siddha. Is this true? If it is true, then why don't we make some same, not like idol, but in the form of Siddha medicine to cure all kinds of disease in one medicine?
Palani Murugan. I have heard that was created by, say, Siddhar Bogar, and they will be telling it as the Navapashanam. I know only up to this. So maybe based on that Navapashanam, they are nothing but the heavy metals and heavy metals. So many metallic preparations are there. They are life-saving, and I told them they are also the nano medicines. So they are now in current treatment even, I guess.
Yeah.
Not the exact Navapashanam. They are Nava means 9. So maybe in some, it is a wild guess only. I'm not correct. Whether I'm correct or not, I don't know. So from the term only, I'm just telling it is maybe some 9 metals. So metallic preparations are also available, which are life-saving, and in day-to-day practice also they are giving. The Siddha physicians are giving to lots and lots of people for the treatment of various chronic and deadly diseases.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, what is the significant role of column chromatography in phytochemical analysis?
Column chromatography, you can go for isolation of biomolecules. You can do pesticide analysis, and you can do any kind of mostly we can go for a bioactivity guided fractionation. So anything it is possible. Isolation of any phytochemical is possible using the column chromatography. And when you are coupling it
Yes,
with HPLC, HPTLC, again they will be, sorry, it is not HPTLC, it is HPLC. It will be of a little bit advantage you can find it.
yes, ma'am. Hello. I think almost all the questions are. Hello. Bharati, ma'am, you want to ask something to madam?
Can I ask, ma'am?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, good afternoon, ma'am. Gayatri, ma'am, my
Ma'am.
question is, in Siddha, we use lot of metals, ma'am, and then also the plant extract. So, actually, what I have learned in nanotechnology is when we combine the metal with the plant extract, there will be a reduction property, so it becomes like a nanomaterial. So, in Siddha, this is the base of all the treatment, ma'am. But what about the stability of this nanomaterials, ma'am, in Siddha formulations? Will it be stable, or every Siddha formulations will have a lifespan, ma'am?
Every Siddha formulation, yeah, for sure. Every Siddha formulation is having its own shelf life. So based on the type of medicine, Churnam will be having one thing, Padangam will be having one thing, Parpam will be having one lifespan. So based on the drugs, based on the formulations, based on their preparation as well, they have their own shelf life. And this stability, till that shelf life, the stability may not matters a lot. But everything, whatever we can say that can be confirmed with stability studies. It depends on each and every formulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gayatri, ma'am. I think you have answered all the questions, and I have last. If you would like to take a last question, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, one last question, ma'am. For medicinal plant purification process is necessary for research study. Is it necessary?
Not necessary for all medicinal plants. It is necessary for a few medicinal plants where the original form is found to contain some kind of toxicity, all those things, right? So in that case, the purification is required.
That's it, ma'am. I think you have answered all the questions posed by the participants. Both
I got so much of questions. I got so much of questions in Siddha only. I'm not a Siddha physician, so whatever I know, whatever I have gained knowledge here, I just able to answer myself. Hope you people have got convinced.
No, you answered better than any Siddha professional, ma'am. So I think
no. We cannot claim like that, right?
Yeah, I know. It's an interdisciplinary subject, and you very well tackled all the questions pertaining to biochemistry, also research, as well as Siddha also. And I think you are an all-rounder. And thank you, Dr. Gayatri, ma'am, for this wonderful session that you have given us, an insight into the potential avenues available in Siddha research. And I'm very thankful to you for having accepted our invitation. For being here, and the way you meticulously coordinated with me during the entire program, even the smallest detailing. Usually I go out of the way seeing such details, but I was very happy that first time a speaker was taking so much of interest to see all the minute details, right from the technical. Even today morning you called me and told me that you are ready with 3 devices and you are prepared with the power cut and other things. So it shows to what extent you go into doing a particular job, and we are so happy that you have been here with us today, having accepted the invitation from Guru Nanak College, Guru Nanak Center for Research. research, and we expect more such collaboration with you in terms of guiding our students into research and to take up Siddha research also. And thank you so much, ma'am. And students, one thing you have to understand is this main thing we call Dr. Gayatri Gunanandhan here today. The reason is for you to understand there are so many avenues which is available. Not necessarily you should take all this in PhD only. You can take it as minor projects from undergraduation, small compounds you can isolate and then find out its property and try to understand the research potential available for that particular plant, because as far as everybody knows, India is the best resource for plants. And there are so many plant resources which is yet to be, which remains unexplored. So please use this as an opportunity, as an idea, as a motivation for taking up research in terms of plant pharmacology or pharmacognostics or Siddha research. Please use this as a platform. I will share the mail ID of Dr. Gayatri Gunanandhan with you, so that any doubts you can always coordinate with ma'am and get it done. And regarding, I have put the feedback link. I request all the participants to fill the feedback link. And I also would say that this entire thing, we have 3 different platforms where we are projecting the activities of the Guru Nanak Center for Research. You have a YouTube channel on Guru Nanak Center for Research and Instagram and Facebook accounts. Please follow us with regarding to the program. Today's program will be put up in the YouTube channel for you to have go through it again. And the next week we are coming up with a conclave on aquaculture. It is going to be a 5 days program for 27th to 31st on opportunities and challenges in aquaculture. We have eminent speakers joining us. Please do join us for this 5 days program. It is each one is a single event, and you will be receiving 5 certificates for all those 5 days. So please, I extend your support on those days also. Thank you very much to all the participants and our principal sir for motivating us, our general secretary for permitting us, and all the heads and vice principal, Dr. Kailaras Kalanidhi ma'am, who actively participates in all our events, and the deans and the heads from of various School of Sciences and departments. And a special thanks to my students and the research scholars who have joined here. And once again, I would love to thank Dr. Gayatri for the wonderful speech she has given. Thank you one and all.
Want to know more about these topics? Please follow us at Guru Nanak Center for Research YouTube page, Facebook, Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe our channel.